Yo, so guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our Ride 5 Career Mode or Race Creator Series, whatever you want to call it. Welcome back to episode 2. Today here at Donington Park for the only British Grand Prix, I believe anyway, that we have on the calendar. And as you can see in the background, the clouds are looking a little bit menacing, a little bit grey and dark around the track. So maybe a threat of rain in the air. Hopefully not, for our sake, because very much prefer the dry over the wet conditions. But here is a look at the grid. As you can see, we have a BMW on pole position and another one there in 4th place. So it seems like they might have sorted out a couple of their sort of issues there from Sonoma, and maybe potentially going to sort of show us what they've got this weekend. But good to see BMW up there. We had a Honda also qualifying in the middle of the front row. Ryan on 3rd with the Yamaha, so a little bit of interesting grid. We've had a little bit of a more harder sort of qualifying for ourselves and our teammate in 9th, but we go from 7th. Here we go then. 5 red lights are on and 5 red lights are out, and away we go for the Grand Prix. We've got off to a pretty good start, but not as good as Nicolas Storti there. That looked like he got an absolute belter of a start as he gets himself up into 2nd place from about 5th, I think he was on the grid there. What a start from Nicolas Storti. Slots himself up at a 2nd. The BMW maintains the lead though as we go down the hill. Zenny gets up into 3rd. We're going for it on our teammate as it looks like, oh, we've had a collision. We've had a collision there with Jens Deloff coming down the hill. I thought that was getting a little bit close as we try to slot into that gap there between Ryan and Jens Deloff, and unfortunately we've collided with our teammate in only round 2 of the season. Already having a collision with our teammate. The team bosses are going to be absolutely fuming at this as we make up a couple positions here from a couple other bikes which have come off. We've got a KTM there and an Aprilia which have come off later on in the lap there. Daniel McCain being one of them. So we've slotted ourselves up into P18 there with our teammate in P17. Let's have a look at this then. As you can see, we tried to slot into this gap that we could see here between Ryan and our teammate, and as usual, front wheel to back wheel is never going to end well, is it? Especially in a corner like this. It may be a little bit audacious from us. You know, we did come from a little bit far back, but the space is there and the gap is there. We just sort of miscalculated a little bit, and well, unfortunately, this is the end result. Both of us not out of the Grand Prix, thankfully, but both of us rolling around in the gravel and getting tossed about. So we're going to be having to do a little bit of a comeback then as we come towards the end part of the lap here at Donington. Slightly cutting the chicane there and getting half a 10th penalty, but P17 and P18 it is then. So we're going to have to push on now harder than ever to try and just, well, firstly just catch up to the pack, but you know, then to get through the pack while keeping our bike and tyres in check. But back at the front, the BMW then maintains the lead so far over Nicolas Storti. This is a pretty good showing here from the Beamers. We've got the other one, I believe, that is in 4th place, although it looks like he may have you know, dropped a couple bite lengths here to the top 3. They seem to have locked into a rhythm a little bit quicker. But good start from Storti. That was a very good launch and into turn 1, getting by all the bikes, you know, not messing about. So I do feel like this rider here that we are looking at right now, number 6, is going to be possibly a menace throughout this Grand Prix. But for ourselves, we are just going to try and focus on basically doing qualifying laps, pretty much is what we need to do here every single lap. Along with our teammate, we need to make sure we're pushing him. So you know, he's pushing also, we'll push each other to try get to the back of the pack here. They're not too far away, and we do have a very good package under us. So you know, it should be hopefully a feasible option and a feasible possibility here. But as we come into the chicane, the Essies, and this is a tricky one, especially on the brakes. The Ducati does move quite a bit into there as we go back on board with Storti, closing the gap up on the Beamer. Is he going to be going for a move, lining up a move? He's got quite close again into the final corner. It looks like Storti might be lining something up here for the straight. Is he going to use that Ducati power and try and fly by into turn 1? He's coming from quite far back. He is going for it as he releases the brakes up the inside of Lawrence and takes the lead there. That was from quite far back, so a good move there from Storti on the brakes, because you know he had to work for that one. It wasn't a Ducati just simply blasting by a BMW, as the BMW there trying to keep up with the Ducati, which is good to see. But yeah, good move there from Storti. He seems to be definitely a rider, with a mission in this Grand Prix. The start was good, and he hasn't wasted too much time there in getting by Lawrence, which is also good for him in terms of putting a bike between him and his teammate Zenny, who sits in third. But back on board with us, as you can see also from especially this camera, the sun is starting to come out now here at Donington, so the track temperatures are going to start ramping up a little bit, which may affect or benefit certain bikes or another. So it's going to be an interesting Grand Prix. I think this may be a little bit of a theme around here in Donington with the clouds we have in the sky. Maybe we're going to see the sun, and then it's going to get dark, and then it's going to get sunny again. But at the front, it all seems to have stabilized a little bit. Zenny hasn't quite pressurized Lawrence just yet on the other Ducati, but he is very much just there in third place. The other BMW, I do believe, is still in fourth, but unfortunately for Giga, here he is, not being able to maintain that pace. We've got Ryan in fifth. He seems to be pulling away a little bit now from the Suzuki following and the Honda, which is unfortunate. They both started on the front row, and they've lost significant positions, both of them, but especially the Honda, obviously, that started second. But as you can see with our teammate now, he is on the back of this group, on the back of Oliver there on the Kawasaki, and it looks like he's not going to waste too much time here behind him. Is he going to try and get down the inside into the corner where we made a mistake, a big mistake, into the inside, and unfortunately obviously wiped out our teammate into here, the old hairpin. Very tricky corner, to be honest, on this game. And as you can see, we're starting to cook our tire a little bit on the front, starting to get ramped up a bit. But back on board with Zenny. Looks like he is starting to now pressure Lawrence a little bit. Maybe he's seeing the teammate just slightly starting to pull away, and he is getting a little bit concerned. The defending world champion, he sort of couldn't quite get the best of Storti. Well, he did manage to get the best of him in the end in the race, but from most of it in Sonoma, Storti was the bike ahead. So Zenny very much trying to stomp his authority as we got bikes going all over the place into the chicane here. The Kawasaki's hit the back of the Yamaha. Look at our teammate Jens Deloff flying through like 3 different bikes there as Aaron was popping off a massive wheelie on the Raza Racing Yamaha. But Jens Deloff has managed to overtake 3 bikes going into that hairpin there. So he's not wasting any time at all as he closes up also to the Suzuki coming into this final corner here. But what a move there from our teammate. We are trying to follow suit. We're trying to outdrag this Yamaha down the straight, up the inside into turn 1 on the brakes. We are going to run it a little bit wide, which may give the Yamaha an opportunity to sniff up the inside. Not quite. We do manage to keep that position and even manage to blast by Aaron here, who I do believe popped a little bit of a wheelie to sort of lose this much momentum, because he's even almost here losing the position to the other Yamaha, the factory Yamaha. So into the old hairpin there. But yeah, back on board with our teammate. What a move there. I mean, 3 people in one go. That's definitely what you want when you're making a comeback from obviously last place and wasting no time. And it's going to be interesting if we can sort of follow through. We're trying to keep up with this sort of pace that he is doing, and trying to very much follow suit with him when he goes up the inside, trying to just line it up a little bit to try and take advantage of what's going on around us as we come into this chicane again. Everyone a little bit more controlled this time, nothing too crazy going on. But if you look down in the bottom right as we slightly go on the grass, big stoppy there as we're trying to slow it down into the Mervyn hairpin. But as you can see on the bottom, we are very much cooking our soft tyre here as we're trying to go up the inside of Oliver on the Kawasaki. Are we going to get the move done? A little bit argy-bargy, a little bit of contact. We try to get on the gas, but the Kawasaki's traction here, not too bad at all. And actually manages to be able to keep the position into turn 1, because we're not going to be able to, ride around the outside of someone. I don't think that's going to be happening. So we're going to have to just follow suit and follow Oliver and follow Liam Wells there on the Suzuki as we're going up the inside here into the old hairpin. We have managed to get the move done there. That was a bit of a lunge, but I don't think the Kawasaki quite expected that. I think he did set up a little bit there to sort of basically allow us by to avoid a collision. But back on board with our teammate. Look at this. He's getting by the KTM. wasting no time trying to get by the Honda also. He's got past the Suzuki obviously a little while ago. But look at this, round the outside of the KTM on the gas then as we go down the straight. There's the teammate here. He's probably riding with absolute anger and frustration as the Kawasaki tries to outbrake us. Where's he going? Straight into the Suzuki. Poor Liam Wells. He's been absolutely shafted into the S's there by Oliver on the Kawasaki. Tried to basically outdo us on the Ducati. And unfortunately for him, that hasn't worked out whatsoever. And he has absolutely mullered the DHL Suzuki there, which is unfortunate. It was going well, obviously not in the points because you need to be in the top 10, as our teammate now manages to get up the inside of the Aprilia. And I think maybe slot himself into the points now. We will see as we come across the line here. He has indeed slotted himself up into P10. So he is now in the points. 1 point to our teammate and our Mark VDS team. But yeah, that's rather unfortunate from for Liam there, getting collected by the Kawasaki. No fault of of his own. He's just chilling, minding his own business, and then gets clobbered from behind. But obviously that's good for us. It's one bite less that we need to sort of faff about with. But we definitely need to try and get on with this because our teammate is starting to, he's not exactly dropping us as we send it up the inside of the KTM, struggling really to turn the bike here, and might even possibly lose his position straight away, but seems to be like we are going to keep it as we get a shot here of Ryan in, I think, still 5th place. I think he is still holding on to that 5th place for the Razor Racing Yamaha, but our teammate here catching up to the other Yamaha, the factory Yamaha, which are going a little bit better here than what they were in Sonoma. Sonoma was definitely seemed like a little bit of a bogus track for the factory Yamahas, whereas Razor Racing Yamaha seemed to handle it all pretty alright. Aprilia also going pretty well here with the Mohamed Sakta. Might not be the way you pronounce that name, to be honest, not too sure, but we'll call him Mo on the Aprilia. Mo is going pretty well here also. So yeah, and again, just another team that wasn't really about in Sonoma, but look at this, our teammate has just blasted through the Suzuki and the Honda. They're right through the middle of them going down the straight, as it does look like from this camera here, this shot, that it might be getting in a little bit darker maybe again, or maybe it's just that section of the track because we're just a little bit lighter now as we sort of drop down the hill here. But yeah, our teammate, he's making light work of all of these people, and unfortunately we're not quite following through, and I think it is due to our tyre. We're definitely not quite got the feeling that I very much require to be able to push on the Ducati when we've got the front tyre very much cooked the way it is, which is unfortunate, but obviously it would be the same for everyone else sort of on this bike really, so we can't really use it as an excuse because our teammate obviously is showing how it is done, and I very much think he's going to get a good result out of this as the Kawasaki tries to go up the inside of Ryan there into the S's. He has got the move done, and look at this, our teammate again up the inside, gets the switch back and gets up the inside of both of them, although the Kawasaki here has released the brakes. Jojo up the inside and does get back that position, as Ryan unfortunately now has lost the position, not just to our teammate and the Kawasaki, but also the Honda, although he's sending it up the inside of the Honda and even the Kawasaki. What a move there from Ryan, up the inside of 2 riders into that final corner. But our teammate now has well, that's pretty much everyone really I think that he's going to be able to get. He sorted himself up into 5th. Maybe he can get Giga on the BMW, but surely the gap is too big, as you can see on the track map. Giga has very much had a boring race, and in the world of his own, he hasn't had the pace of the top 3, but he's been faster than everyone behind, so he's been riding around by himself in 4th, and we're here. We've only got a lap and a half left now, and our teammate has come from last to big moment here for the Aprilia. Mo has had a massive moment through there, but yeah, our teammate, obviously, he was in the same position as us. We both crashed at the same time. We both respawned roughly at the same time. And he's got himself up into 5th. And unfortunately, we're not even in the points right now. We are in the P12 or the P13 now as the Honda comes by here. But, yeah, it hasn't quite been, again, just like Sonoma, it hasn't really been the progression that, we hoped for. We know the bike's good. We know the bike is fast, But unfortunately, we're struggling with temperatures on the front tyre. We're struggling with managing the pace. And we just need to set up a couple things, maybe tweak the setup a little bit, just dial in as we try to get up the inside again of this Honda into the final corner here, and try and just to push as hard as we can, as the Aprilia had a massive moment. They run well wide, so we managed to get him also and slot ourselves up into maybe some clear air now for once. But yeah, we're just going to try and push as hard as we can for this last lap, because we are not in the points yet. And although this gap does look rather large, that we do have two Ali here on the Suzuki, it is 3 riders I think we've got there fighting each other as we go on board with them now. So these are all fighting each other. So if they can get a little bit entangled in go side by side around some of these corners, I think maybe we can close this gap enough just to be able to sort of try send it up the inside. But back at the front then on this last lap, here comes Storti into the S section. He has very much dominated this Grand Prix from the get-go. Very much settled into his pace very early on. Had a great start. Got up the inside of 2 or 3 riders, however many it was, into turn 1. And once he got by Lawrence on the BMW, he hasn't really looked back, and he's just gone and disappeared. And yeah, good win. Unfortunate, it's not really what we want to see on the other, Ducati. It's not, we don't want to see this one winning. But here he goes then, a little bit of a precarious moment there, coming out of the final corner. But Storti takes the win then over Lawrence. And Zenny is going to round out the podium. We've got the other BMW managing to come in 4th. So good weekend here for BMW. And look at this. We managed to catch up to the train. And we managed to blast past the Yamaha, who I don't really know what he was doing there. Maybe missed a gear, because that exit was pretty awful there from the Yamaha. And we do manage to slot ourselves up into P10 then, which is absolutely amazing for us to get 1 point out of that Grand Prix. Not as good as our teammate up in 5th, but here are the race results then. Nicolo Storti takes the race win, obviously over Lawrence, who had a pretty good weekend there on the BMW. Didn't quite manage to obviously keep the pole and win, but nevertheless, first podium there for BMW. Venisto Zenny comes in 3rd. Alex Giga comes in 4th. Jens Deloff 5th. What a race from him. The pace and the overtakes, the calculated overtakes from Jens Deloff were incredible. We wasted no time whatsoever behind anyone, and unfortunately we just couldn't replicate that. The Honda of Shimoda comes in 6th. A good weekend for Honda, good points for them, just over the Kawasaki of Jojo. Ryan Lilly then finishes in 8th. I suppose he will be a little bit disappointed with that, considering he was in 5th for a lot of that Grand Prix, and he did also start in 2nd or 3rd place, was it, on the front row there. So dare say he'll be a little bit disappointed, but once again though, he is the top Yamaha, so I suppose there are some positives in the negatives there for Raza Racing, as they do walk away with a couple points. Ali Amzawoglu manages to come 9th, first points for him then on the Suzuki, and we round out the top 10. Championship standings, Nicolas Storti takes the lead over our teammate Jens Deloff, and then Zenny in 3rd. We've dropped down, as you can see, all the way to 7th, which is rather disappointing for us. But yeah, Alex Giga and Lawrence then 4th and 5th for the BMWs. Kawasaki going well in 6th there with Jojo. Shimoda Shady 8th, Ryan 9th, and Liam Wells rounding out the top 10. Team Championship, we have Scuderia, HP Ducati, which have pulled out some good points here over us in Donington. It's been a very good weekend for them. 25 points the gap. That is a whole race worth of a win worth of points there that we have lost. Unfortunately, to Scuderia, HP Ducati. BMW having a good weekend. They've closed the gap to us, by 10 points is the difference there between us and Ico BMW. Monster in 4th, HRC Repsol Honda. Raza Racing climbing up a couple positions, I believe, into 6th over the Suzuki. Yamaha, Leopard, and Red Bull KTM, which unfortunately they had a bit of a better weekend here at Donington, but unfortunately they couldn't quite score some points. And then obviously in the Manufacturers World Championship, it is Ducati leading the way to, it's just obvious. It's obviously going to be Ducati, but very much like the real life racing with MotoGP or Superbikes or anything you watch, pretty much it's just Ducati all the time. But yeah guys, that is the end for this episode. Hopefully you did enjoy. Leave a like and subscribe for more content as always, and I will see you with a brand new episode of our Ride 5 Career Mode next week.